Oh man, you're not gonna believe this. New hat, new vlog, same day. Same walk actually. Same walk to try to rinse and recycling and dispose of recycling without spending fuel, and brush my teeth and sitting and reading. Sitting and reading and overhearing in the bathroom language. Well, let's just say fucking was more than once in a few sentences and shit, and this is an adult talking to a kid passing on wisdom, their version of it, and like a sneaky way to make money through donations and getting benefits out of it. and also saying, you know, how fuck, you're so lucky you saw Adele in person, her powerful voice. Another great role model there, somebody that did a little bit of personal development. It's like getting, again, like I've said years ago, your relationship skills from Will Smith, your lessons in sanity from Jordan B. Peterson. So when I leave, I don't have a place to go, but one thing I can tell you about being here, this is where I was this morning. There's been a bit more melting. What I've learned about being here is the next place hopefully is not anywhere near an arena, because the hockey culture, I tell you, it's just triggering me more to suffer from species alienation. It's so disappointing, the redneckism that it creates and spread around the world, right? I mean, you go to Asian countries that used to have more common, let's say, badminton, and they're into the sports like baseball and hockey, and the more likely bad behaviors, and therefore I predicted that, there'll be more violence at badminton in the coming years, for example, in Asian countries. Another thing I predict while I was reading, and one of the reasons I'm leaving this area is I love to read. It's hard to get the books that I want from the library without additional complications. I'm reading DC Comics. It's like the first meeting between Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And I'll read you a part of it in a minute. And it's enjoyable, but it's a nice change. There's a villain in there, Ra's Ghul. And I'll read you a part about it. Let me bring the book out. I was talking to a few kids here when I was walking from there this past summer, who were enjoying breaking bottles, glass bottles that I'm just recycling here at the community center, that were left here by somebody else. And it's the summer. I mean, some of them are wearing flip-flops. And then I'm saying, well, I know you're not the one that left them there, and you're saying that that's kind of your excuse, but hey, what about your friend, like, that you may or may not like, that might be today or a different day, kind of walks barefoot here and cuts themselves pretty bad, and they might even not be able to skateboard with you for a long time. So I'm helping them reference the outside world, which is kind of hard for the kids of today and the way they're raised. I'm reading this. Ra's Ghul, the best villain in the DC universe, I would say. Not really ruined by the trilogy of Batman movies, but could have been made even more amazing, and hopefully will come back in DC and they don't ruin it. Same thing with Dr. Doom. One thing I can tell from the announcement of the changes in DC is there was nothing really exciting me, but I also predict that they may or may not have entered already in a long-term goal to do a Marvel crossover in the cinematic universe that is a long-term plan, something DC has never really worked on before, and may have kind of admitted that it's not a bad idea if they want to associate with Marvel in this way. That's a possibility. Anyways, I gotta admit, you aspire them, or your message. It is the world itself that inspires them. Earth is a lonely and precious thing, and mankind has never done anything but abuse it. So instead of mankind, I'll be more gender neutral and more scientifically accurate, and I'll say, like I've said before, many years ago, Homo communion kind. Okay, the real name of our species. So this is page 44, okay? And some people, I'll read the other part first, because some people might suddenly decide Greta's this way or Martin's this way, and it's really the ignorance of just people thinking they disagree in ways they really don't. If you just have conversations about what people care about, and of course you can't anymore, but if you could, then the next step would be, now that we've find out we all care about the earth and our kids, that is this common denominator that is so obvious, but all of the human domestication syndromes have divided us in ways that's not obvious to us anymore. Then it's still, the next step would still be, would we be working on the right projects to support the earth or our kids' generation? And of course it's no, because we've devolved various forms of intelligence over time and we can no longer collaborate anyways. So Batman's saying to Superman, he calls himself an eco-terrorist on a sacred mission to protect the earth and its resources from the ravages of mankind. To many, he's a hero, and his ranks are fanatically dedicated to his cause. But I know better. Meaning, and again, some people might think Greta's like this, which is extremely ridiculous to say this about a child you don't know in such an inaccurate way. But again, like, Jordan Peterson is capable of saying things like this, and none of his followers would correct him. It's ridiculous. Case in point, HSD, the Anthropocene, the end of the possibility of our species evolving into something great. That his ambitions seem noble, but his methods are merciless. In the end, he's just another petty tyrant bent on remaking the world in his own image. And by the way, Rahaz Ghul, you would think, Martin, are you like him because you're pro-Earth? Well, I agree with Batman here. So am I like him? Am I like Rahaz Ghul? Because I agree that, even him, Rahaz Ghul, won't achieve his goal because of his methods. And Batman, can understand this, and I agree with him. But Rahaz Ghul is really a character that is capable of living an extended period of time, and therefore would be able to disconnect from most anthropocentric views, but still not become ecocentric. I mean, because he's willing to injure the earth, for example, in very dramatic ways, for his purposes, because time has no meaning for him. So he's not really pro-life, because he's more pro himself, because pro-life would allow him to use more of his intelligence to not have to use those methods. But just like Jordan B. Peterson, his ego, as a unique person of his time in the comics, Rahaz Ghul, or now Jordan Peterson, allows him to easily, it's not like there's a support group for people that have a tendency to become like this, that Jordan or Rahaz Ghul or the Hitlers of our time or Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom's an easy problem to solve. I mean, the counseling he requires is not that hard. And then the greatness that he could offer. But again, it's easy to imagine villains because we live in a culture that is subhuman in its personal development, self-actualization, in its ability to self-correct, and it may have always been, but definitely today, people can only imagine heroes and villains who are pretty much exactly the same. There's just a tiny, tiny variation, and these are the stories that we tell each other through movies now, which have really no more wisdom than the stories our ancestors told to each other, shared with each other through collective learning methods that were more wise, especially as measured by the modernity that they lived in. And we are so backed up on modernity that I don't think our species could ever really reconnect with reality anymore.